Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our virtual listening session tonight on the Michigan Healthy Climate Plan implementation, talking about repair and decarbonization of homes and businesses. Glad to have you all on here with us tonight. My name is Jim Ostrowski. I work with EGLE's Environmental Support Division, and I will be helping to moderate tonight's evening meeting. I just want to go through a couple ground rules. Before I do that, though, I just want to apologize to people that might have gotten an erroneous email from our automated system that said tonight's was canceled. Obviously here, so you know it wasn't canceled. I did send an email out to hopefully you all got it, that it was not canceled. And so I apologize for that mistake in terms of our system screwing that up. So glad to see you all here, people that are on. Next slide, please. Okay, so just a couple of housekeeping details. The lines are muted for now during our presentation. We will allow you to speak during our comment period when we do that and listen to you all, and I'll explain when that happens, but it will be after our presentation. We are recording this listening session like we do with all of them, and you will find it up on our YouTube channel in the next couple of days, if not by tomorrow, hopefully. You'll also receive an email with a link to the recording. Everyone that registered will get an email from us. Also, keep an eye on the chat because Joel is here with me, and he's going to put a couple of things into the chat, including who's going to be up for making comments as we go through that time. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Julia Field. And Julia, go ahead.
All right, great. Thank you, Jim. Next slide, please. All right, and thank you all for joining us tonight. We appreciate you taking some time out of your Wednesday evening to learn more about the My Healthy Climate Plan and specifically the pillar that we're focusing on tonight, which is repairing and decarbonizing homes and businesses. So I'm going to give a little introduction and then we're going to move on to the public listening session. We're really excited to hear from you all, so I'm going to keep my remarks brief so we can hear from you shortly. Next slide, please, Jordan. All right, so as a refresher, the My Healthy Climate Plan, this was released in April 2022. The primary goals of the plan are to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 52% by 2030 and to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050 and to maintain net negative emissions thereafter. And throughout all of our work, we're ensuring a commitment to justice and equity. Not only are these the goals to reach our what we know we need to mitigate the worst impacts of climate change, but it also presents a number of opportunities for our state. So we believe this is an opportunity to address and prevent future environmental injustices, as well as fostering healthier communities with cleaner air, and finally, to create jobs and reduce costs. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is a broad timeline of how we've gotten to where we are today. So on the far left there, you see that Governor Whitmer committed Michigan to carbon neutrality in 2019 through 6 work groups and a number of public engagements and other key stakeholder meetings. We created the My Healthy Climate Plan, which was released in 2022. We have a couple other events and engagements you see in this timeline. Notably, at this time last year, we did a couple of in-person engagements across the state focused broadly on what we should prioritize as we implement the My Healthy Climate Plan. And now we're in the midst of these virtual listening sessions focused on specific pillars of the plan. So again, today we're here to hear more from you on how we repair and decarbonize homes and businesses and what we should be prioritizing. Next slide, please. All right, so I've been referring to the pillars of the climate plan. These are the 6 pillars. As I've been saying, today we're focusing on the one that's highlighted teal, so repairing and decarbonizing homes and businesses. And the main, you see on the right, 2030 goals. These are kind of the main benchmarks of where we think we need to be by 2030. And so for this pillar, it's 2 million retrofitted buildings. Next slide, please. It's important to understand where our emissions are coming from statewide. And so this is our statewide greenhouse gas inventory by economic sector. It's with 2021 data, which is the most recent data we have from the EPA. You see the kind of purple pie slice of this pie chart, and that's for the built environment. So about 16% of our emissions come from emissions related to buildings, specifically commercial or residential. Next slide, please. All right, this gets a little into the weeds, but we use the EPA state inventory tool to make these calculations on emissions. Specifically, we look at 2 workbooks, fossil fuel combustion, which is carbon dioxide, and stationary combustion, which is methane and nitrous oxide. Next slide, please. So this is a little further analysis around the emissions related to buildings. You'll see that residential emissions are orange and commercial emissions are blue, with a tiny bit of wood and coal at the bottom there represented in black. It's important to note that these are just natural gas and oil emissions. So the emissions related to kind of on-site, in this case, it'd be space heating, water heating, and cooking. Any electricity that is consumed by buildings, we account for that in our electric power sector. So it's not accounted for in what you're seeing here. In general, we do see a slow decline in emissions from the baseline year that we use, which is 2005, shown by that middle dotted black line. And so since 2005, we've reduced emissions by about 14%, although you see some fluctuation, obviously. And I do want to note on the oil that you see represented here is primarily heating oil and propane, which we know is used primarily in rural areas in Michigan, as well as in northern Lower Peninsula and the Upper Peninsula. Next slide, please. All right, so here are some of our other primary climate action measures to reach our 2030 goals. It's focused on energy saving upgrades. So this is helping to make homes more energy efficient through repairs, weatherization. We also are focused on upgrading and decarbonizing public buildings, so kind of leading by example to reduce emissions in government and nonprofit facilities. And finally, building electrification. And so this is focused more on transitioning existing homes and businesses to clean energy with special support for low-income communities or those using fuels like propane or heating oil. Next slide, please. These are other key strategies from the My Healthy Climate Plan. I think total there are like 50, so there's probably too many to go into, but here these are again focused on energy waste reduction as well as electrical and building upgrades. Next slide, please. There's other co-benefits to helping to repair and decarbonizing homes and businesses. We will likely see improved indoor air quality, which has numerous health benefits. There's also the opportunity for job creation in the energy efficiency and building improvement space. And finally, through weatherization and improved energy efficiency, we know this will help increase overall affordability and lower utility bills. On the right box, you see some notes from, we launched this input session by focusing on, the series of input sessions by focusing on environmental justice and what benefits from climate action environmental justice communities can see. And so we, I think in October, held a session and we asked for input, and we heard specifically that in this pillar, communities would like to know that we're empowering and engaging communities along the way, especially for programs that are focused on particular areas. Also comprehensive education programs, so making sure people understand what it means to reduce energy waste reduction in their homes. Finally, we know there's concern around affordable housing in general, so how do we work towards improving access to affordable housing and our climate goals, and as well as transparency in data and maintenance and upgrades to infrastructure. Next slide, please. All right, so we already have some policy to help us implement the My Healthy Climate Plan. Here you see legislative advances as well as where we're leading by example as a state. So in 2023, Public Act 229 passed. This helped to expand energy waste reduction leadership, as well as requiring all utilities to offer energy efficiency programs. And I believe the 2010s Property Assessed Clean Energy Act passed, and this helped to enable local governments to build and expand clean energy programming and financing. And then in the 2025 fiscal year budget, there's a $5 million investment in home repair and what are called pre-weatherization costs, so the repairs that are needed to help weatherize a home. In terms of the state leading by example, there are two executive directives. The first is lowering the energy intensity in state buildings by 40% by 2040. And then the second one is the UP Energy Task Force, which was created to assess the UP's overall energy needs and ideate some solutions. And then there's two boards. These are both run by the Michigan Public Service Commission. They're focused on ensuring energy affordability and accessibility. Next slide, please. Okay, in addition to the policy that helps us enable action in this pillar, there are also a number of programs across the state of Michigan, government departments that are working towards these goals. In EGLE, we have the Michigan Home Energy Rebate Program, which launched this past fall. We also have long had the Weatherization Assistance Program in the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services. We also have, if you go towards the bottom there, there's the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, and they run the My Neighborhood program, which is focused on energy efficiency upgrades. Next slide. Okay. So with all that context, know that we've continued kind of doing more analysis around our emissions and doing more public engagement. It's an iterative plan. So now we're really excited to hear from you all on what else you think we should be prioritizing in this pillar. I'll pass it back to Jim to go over some of the ground rules for this next portion. Oh, and I forgot, I'm supposed to introduce my team. So our team is going to go on video and we'll be taking notes from what you all share with us. And we have Jordan Power, Kayla Spurbeck, and Cheyenne Ghosh. Thanks. I'll pass it back to you, Jim.
All right, thanks, Julia. So you all can see our team is here ready to listen to you all. And that's what we're here to do. So we aren't answering questions today. We're just here to listen. A couple things to note is that if you would like to make your comment verbally to us, you can click the raise hand icon on your Zoom toolbar, and that'll let us know you're ready to talk to us. And I see your names popping up there, and a lot of you already have your hands raised. I will try to call you in the order in which you have your hands raised. Just note that if you take your hand down and raise it again, it puts you back to the bottom of my list. So just leave your hand raised until we call you, and then we will, when we do call your name, we will unmute you, allow you to unmute your mic. You'll see a little thing pop up that says you can unmute your mic and talk to us. And when you do make your comment, please repeat your name, because I might get it wrong. And just for the record, we want to make sure that we have your name right. And also, we're going to give you 3 minutes to make your comment just to keep things moving tonight. So if you can complete your comment within 3 minutes, that'd be great. Just to help you with that, I'll have a little timer. You can see it up the top of my screen or up in the corner of the screen as well. So you'll see that countdown happen. Also, if you don't feel like making a comment today, that's fine. Or if you don't feel like making it in front of everybody, that is fine. You can also submit comments to our mailbox, eagle.oce@michigan.gov. And we'll have, Joel's going to put that in the chat in just a minute here. Also, keep an eye on the chat because it's going to tell you who's on deck. So I'm going to call the first few names. And then if you take a look at the chat, if you see your name in there, that's how you know you'll be up next, just so you can prepare yourself. With that, I think we're going to get started. So just to let you know, the first person up, first couple of people up with their hands raised are Rachel R. It's Rachel Rewetzer, Horst Schmidt, and Jace Bailenga will be the first ones up. And then you keep an eye on the chat, and that'll tell you who's up next. And as I call your name, remember, I will unmute your mic so you can talk to us. And remember to keep an eye on the timer. All right, team is all ready. So we'll call up the first person. Rachel, you can go ahead and make your comment to us. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. My name is Rachel Rewitzer, and I currently live in Macomb, Michigan, and I am with the Michigan League of Conservation Voters. I just want to quickly start off by saying thank you so much for recognizing the importance of this conversation and taking time to listen to what everybody in various communities have to say. I want to start off to say that I used to rent about a 100-year-old house that could just simply never retain heat or air conditioning, and our utility bill was always insanely high because our furnace could never stop running. I could barely afford that bill, much less like trying to do construction in order to make my house, more insulated and more livable. So I would really like to share the importance of expanding programs and reducing prices so that people can modernize and decarbonize their homes, but also for people who are renters who may not necessarily have the legal ability to do these major repairs on their homes. Utility prices are so high, and, a lot of us are struggling to afford these utilities. So I think one of the ways that in order for residents to be able to repair their homes is by holding utility companies accountable and by reducing the prices that we have to pay because of these things. And old homes are especially expensive to repair. Most of us can't afford a remodel. So having more incentives and programs in place so people that can actually utilize the resources that are out there and repair their homes so that ultimately in the long term, they are spending less. There needs to be more, publications around these programs and options for people to be able to use, such as like the Inflation Reduction Act. Like, not many people know that they're able to use that to repair their homes, and that needs to be more public, and it needs to educate a lot more people. And yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Rachel, for your comment tonight. Next up is Horst, and then it's well, I think it's Jace, sorry. So Horst, are you there?
Yes, thank you for calling me. My name is Horst Schmidt. I'm with the Upper Peninsula Environmental Coalition. I'm a board member, and I've been interested in the work that's been done, having been involved with the governor's Global Solutions Board in one of its many forms. So I have several suggestions. One I think is the development of a cadre of coaches. And I know the agency has started in low income areas, but I think there needs to be a rapid expansion of people who have no financial interest in the outcome of any type of work that has to be done on their houses. My other suggestion is that we have you work with the co-ops and municipal utilities, which have greater interest in maintaining a low cost and safe and energy efficient um, uh, utilities. The other thing is that we need to make sure we prioritize renewable energy for homeowners and renters, which has become especially significant with the onset of data centers apparently willing to use up all the power and more that is being produced. Uh, the other thing is that we had the UP Energy Task Force, and I would suggest that the department look at that to see what could be done to help citizens in the UP to deal with the issues of especially of heating and prioritize things like heat pumps so that we were able to remove the gas and propane methane. And then finally, I wanted to mention that it's probably being done, but I think it needs to be emphasized that we need to train the next generation of technicians so that they're able to take the workload that we are going to be putting upon them in order to make all of these changes. So thank you for your having this program tonight.
All right, thanks for your comment, Horst. Next up is Jace. Jace Bylenga.
Hi, my name is Jace Bylinga. I'm a resident in Van Buren County over in Arlington Township in Southwest Michigan. I'm also staff with the Michigan League of Conservation Voters. And first of all, thank you to the state of Michigan and EGLE for convening these input sessions. And I'm really excited about this repairing and decarbonizing homes and businesses section, especially, in light of my own personal impact with this. So as a new homeowner myself, first-time homeowner, my family and I, we bought a house that we wanted to invest in so that we could make it more energy efficient and really just, build some more uh, income for our family too. So this is really exciting to me, and I know it's also going to be really important for other community members to really realize, how building our communities, building our home spaces, and making our neighborhoods better is really how we make an impact on the environment. And I think it could just be really inspiring for the people of Michigan to fully engage in this idea of making our homes really energy efficient and electric so that we can, have healthy air and have a limited impact on the environment and be energy independent of all the fossil fuel fluctuations that are out there. So, I'm really excited about the upcoming rollout of the state home energy rebates early next year. That is just amazing. I'm just starting to understand all of the benefits that I might be able to take advantage of as a homeowner. And, I'm pretty connected. I've talked to a couple contractors who've come by my house, talking about some projects I'm looking into. They know nothing about this stuff. So I really encourage you guys to do a lot of targeted outreach and aggressive outreach to contractors and really focus on workforce development, because people need to know about this stuff and they're going to be excited to take advantage of it. And I'm excited to see, an overall goal of achieving full home decarbonization, because that's just going to be the best thing for our community. And I really want to see us invest in our communities and not giving out handouts to big corporations to build giant energy infrastructure. Let's build it at home. And to do that, you might even need to combine, into one home and energy agency. So that's just one other suggestion. So thank you so much. And I see my time's running out. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Jace, for your comment tonight. All right, we're gonna go to the next three up on deck is Maddie Jordan Woods, then Chris Hairwire, and Michael King. So Maddie, you should be able to unmute yourself and go ahead.
Hi, my name is Maddie Jordan Woods. I live in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I have been attending these sessions for the past year. And the last session, person from Marshall talked about that the sessions are open, but people aren't listening. And that she talked about Detroit and everyone talks about the urban areas. And I just want to say to her that they may be passing out the money in the urban areas, but the people and the staff who live and work for those organizations don't live in the neighborhoods. And that's why the poor neighborhoods are still poor. And I'm hoping, I really am hoping that the staff that is working in this program dig deeper than saying, oh, we found out your neighborhood association is doing this, and then you look and see who's actually getting the funding. And the next thing is I've been trying to educate my neighborhood about it. And one of the seniors told me her husband passed away last year, and she was told she's $2 over, and before she needs a roof. She's $2 over with her Social Security checks, so she can't get a roof. So we have these programs, and you're saying they're for low-income people, but people who have worked all their lives and they have one income because a spouse has died, they're ineligible. So I hope that you all will really looking at area benefit. Because what they say is, though, this is for a low-income community, and the people who are stayed, worked all their lives, they are actually ineligible for the programs. And I also want to say to the Marshall person that all of the people that I've talked to that had to do with EGLE, they have tried to help. I even went to a session up north, and the staff really tried to help. And I think maybe what the staff should be clear is to tell them that when you guys are talking about programmings and guidelines, that you are following state mandates, that it isn't you personally or your office that's saying no to the people that's saying we don't want this. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. And I am working on submitting for a project to actually have a physical footprint in my community. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Maddie, for your comment tonight. Okay, next up is Chris Hairwire, and then Michael King.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, Chris.
Awesome. Hi, my name is Chris Hairwire. I'm a resident of Wyoming, Michigan, a suburb of Grand Rapids, and I'm also with the Michigan League of Conservation Voters. I was really excited when I saw that this particular topic was added for the Healthy Climate Plan listening sessions, repairing and decarbonizing homes and businesses, because honestly, a lot of the work that I've been doing over this past year has been working on educating people about a lot of the rebates and tax incentives that are becoming available for really accomplishing a lot of that work. So that work of decarbonizing our buildings is really truly essential to accomplishing the goals of the Healthy Climate Plan, and will have a big positive impact on homeowners across the state who are looking to improve the condition of their homes, have that long-term energy savings that comes with it, and so much more. So as I said, I've worked to inform a lot of people on this in West Michigan, and I really think that the state should be doing more, just as much as possible, to be really sharing what those opportunities are for people to be able to take advantage of this. Just that outreach and advertising needs to be done to a broader and greater level. I also really want to kind of echo what a couple other people have mentioned here. Like, we need to be prioritizing low and middle income families in a lot of that outreach to make sure that they have the tools that they need to be able to afford some of like the home energy audits and everything that comes along with that, because just the cost can be a very significant barrier to a lot of people at this point. So if there isn't a program like that already in the works, we should definitely get something like that set up, for weatherization, energy efficiency, all of that. And then finally, I just wanted to share a very, very quick story on my own, like, retired parents that have been kind of running into barriers in the past on taking some of those steps with their home. Just recently, this past month, they finally were able to get solar panels installed on their roof, which is hard for retirees to do because they're on a fixed income, and some of the programs that have been in place for supporting it, like funding that, weren't really accessible to them. So I did want to celebrate the fact that they were able to finally get that done, but that's something that I'd been trying to work with them on for close to 2 years before finally they were able to get something put together to be able to do it. And now they're greatly reduced their own reliance on the grid and increased their own energy efficiency. So thanks again for your time and for holding this listening session. Happy holidays.
Great. Thanks, Chris. Okay, up next, Michael King, then Diana Corporalongo. So Michael, if you're there, yep, you can go ahead and start.
Hi guys, my name is Michael King from Grand Valley State University and the Grand Rapids area, and I am also a staff member with the Michigan League of Conservation Voters. So first off, I do want to say thank you guys so much for actually holding this listening session and hearing us out, especially over the topic of repairing and decarbonizing homes, because as you guys know, in the state of Michigan, especially in Detroit and large cities like Grand Rapids and everything, the houses are extremely old, and as many of my counterparts have said, um, it costs a lot in order to repair these houses. So anything that the government can essentially do in order to help and incentivize people to not only help themselves out, this is beneficial to them, but also do good for the environment. You know, who doesn't want to knock out two birds with one stone? One of the other things is because of all of the outreach and everything that is being talked about within communities and everything. One of the main things that I am excited about is for you guys to essentially think about different ways to increase outreach within communities, especially low-income communities, because a lot of people don't really know about some of the resources that EGLE specifically is offering, and that's one of the biggest problems. A lot of people, you can't really care about things that you don't really know about. And so, yeah, so outreach and education is extremely important. Um, and yeah, thank you guys so much. And thank you guys for actually hearing us out.
All right, thanks, Michael, for your comments tonight. All right, up next. Before we go next, just want to let everybody know that we've got about, I usually do this, about 96 people on tonight logged in, and right now about 12 hands raised. Just to let you know. All right, so up next is Diana Corpolongo and then Charlotte Jameson after that. Diana, you should be able to unmute your line.
Thank you very much, and great job on the pronunciation of my last name. Thank you for giving it a great try. You got it perfect. I'm Diana Caco Corpolongo, and I just want to say thank you all for holding this session. This topic is very near and dear to my heart. I am an energy auditor and a construction manager by schooling and a heat pump sales professional by trade every day. I'm also the member and sergeant of arms of the Southwestern Wayne County Democratic Club. I really appreciate and want to give a special thanks to everyone that's already spoken, has raised their hand to speak tonight. And I specifically want to give a shout out to Rachel R., because I have also lived in very old homes all across Michigan, all of the climate zones. And when I was a college student at Michigan Tech, I was surprised when my first heating bill in October for a 700 square foot apartment was $400, and that was 15 years ago. I can't imagine what it costs today. So to keep costs equitable and support decarbonization, I truly believe that we need to not only look at full electrification, but also support the use of dual fuel, especially since our goal is roughly a 52% reduction. I want to say that truthfully, we can do that with the dual fuel heat pumps of today and not create an economic burden for people. However, if you were to ask me to currently electrify my home as it is today, which is a 100-plus-year-old farmhouse right in Belleville, Michigan, I would tell you I would be unable to afford those bills, and I am not a low or moderate income household. I could, however, afford to electrify my home as it is today if there were more equitable electric rates, and DTE has one. They just have to make it available. So on this call, this is my plea for the Michigan Public Service Commission and EGLE to help the people of Michigan and help us get equitable electric rates for electric heat customers. Thank you so much. That's my time today.
Okay, thanks, Diana. All right, Charlotte Jameson's next, then Andrew Collins for her. Go ahead, Charlotte.
Hi, everyone. This is actually Carly Knott. I think I must have used Charlotte's link.
Okay.
But we both work for the Michigan Environmental Council, so I'll share some comments really quick. Just wanted to say that it's great that Michigan has so many different programs out there for this work, both state and federally funded. But with having so many different funding sources, it's just really important that Michigan state departments are working to collaborate and coordinate across those different programs to reduce the barriers for contractors and residents. So any efforts made to consolidate applications or reporting requirements for these programs is super helpful. And then also information sharing between the programs and departments. So if you have a home that's just been weatherized, that would be a good candidate for electrification that's on the radar of programs like the home energy rebates. I think even going further than that, we would love to see Michigan work towards creating a whole home retrofit program and kind of working to establish a lot of these different funding sources under one program that's a one-stop shop for residents to interface with. That would encompass like all of these different issues like health and safety, weatherization and energy efficiency, electrification, and renewable energy opportunities, so that a resident can go to this one-stop shop and be able to access all these different programs. We've seen states like Pennsylvania set that up, so it'd be great to get that going in Michigan. But essentially, the more efficient and coordinated these programs can be, the more homes we can decarbonize and get towards reaching those goals. Just a couple other things to mention. We think that the primary focus for EGLE should be electrifying customers who have that delivered fuel, either propane or oil right now. because those are the customers who are most likely to receive significant cost savings through electrification. So we really need to get to work on getting those benefits to those customers. A lot of them are in the Upper Peninsula as well. And then additionally, the MPSC should start a future of heat proceeding as soon as possible, so we can do some better planning on the future of heat and those needs in our state as we look towards electrifying and reaching our goals of net zero carbon emissions. Both the utilities and customers would really benefit from having more certainty in planning for that future. So thank you for taking the time to listen to me and to gather input from everyone today. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks for your comment. Okay, up next we got Andrew, and then after that, Marjorie Steele. Go ahead, Andrew.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, can.
All right. Hello, I'm Andrew Collins. I'm a resident of Kentwood and a renter. Thank you for the opportunity to make this comment. I would like to share my concerns about the priorities in the repair and carbonization of homes and businesses to address the challenges faced by renters in Michigan. Renters, particularly those in low income and historically marginalized communities, often live in older buildings that are less energy efficient and more costly to maintain. There are structural barriers which hinder the progress towards energy efficiency and weatherization in these rental properties. Some numbers here. 38% of Michigan households struggle to afford basic necessities. 89% of cities in Michigan have more renters than homeowners. Up to 66% of renters, and this is not just in college towns. So there are a lot of renters here in Michigan. 47% of housing units, this was from a housing study in 2023, were built prior to 1970. So very old housing stock. These numbers, they show a disproportionate burden with renters paying higher percentages of their income for utilities compared to homeowners, which are in more recent, more energy efficient housing. Landlords often have no financial incentive to make any improvements, or they lack the resources themselves, and frequently they aren't even aware of the programs available to make upgrades. And then renters are not in a position to invest in the properties they do not own. So these challenges directly impact the goals of the My Healthy Climate Plan, and more particularly the repair and decarbonize homes and businesses component of that, as inefficient rental housing contributes additional carbon emissions and makes the benefits of decarbonization inaccessible to those renters. The housing stock requires substantial investment to make these modern efficiency standards across the board. And then also it has to be equitable in reducing energy waste and emissions. Failing to address these disparities between homeowners and renters will affect Michigan's ability to achieve an equitable response to the climate issues. In summary, the My Healthy Climate Plan must prioritize energy efficiency, weatherization, and the fuel substitution methods for rental housing to advance equity and achieve these climate goals. By doing so, Michigan can ensure that all residents, regardless of their housing situation or home ownership, benefit for a cleaner and more sustainable future. Thank you for considering my comments.
All right, thanks, Andrew, for your comments tonight. All right, up next is Marjorie Steele. Then after Marjorie is Andrew Kosick. Go ahead, Marjorie.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. My name is Marjorie Steele. I am the founder and executive director of the Economic Development Responsibility Alliance of Michigan. Just wanted to start by reminding EGLE that it is not your job to create jobs or opportunities for Michigan. It is your job to protect the environment, period. The stated goals of this pillar to invest in repairs and weatherization of homes and small businesses are not only good, but necessary Rising costs and suppressed wages have left many Michigan homes and businesses in vital need of weatherization and energy efficient repairs, such as replacing windows, sealing doors, repairing roofs, improving insulation, and maintaining or replacing old heating systems and chimneys. Investments into these types of repairs would not only benefit Michigan residents and small business owners, it would be a boon to local economies. The rest of the goals of this portion of this pillar of the plan, however, are counterproductive to its overall stated objectives, specifically the goals of building electrification and fuel switching, electrifying households, electrical upgrades for vehicle electrification, and investing in decarbonizing solutions clearly imply transition from propane and fuel oil to electrical energy from utility scale solar, wind, and biomass facilities. However, these energy sources would achieve the exact opposite of that plan's stated objectives of positive climate action and lowering heating costs for homes and small businesses. In reality, these goals would cause heating costs to rise, result in unreliable and intermittent services, destroy farmland forests and local agricultural economies, destroy carbon storing soil and toxify local watersheds, create unrecyclable toxic waste, and produce significant carbon emissions through materials mining and manufacturing. As the implementation of utility scale wind and solar around the world has demonstrated, these projects are deeply destructive to local ecosystems and agricultural economies. Their carbon footprint of wind and solar supply chain and their waste streams are not being accounted for, and the soil and habitat destruction they precipitate is not being calculated, let alone offset. Furthermore, the billions of Michigan taxpayer dollars which are subsidizing these projects have attracted an unprecedented level of greed and recklessness among developers and their public-private partners. Last, I want to bring to your attention that a large number of rural Michiganders still rely on wood-burning stoves. This is an essential and sustainable form of heating for our most rural residents who experience the longest and most severe power outages during winter. Wood stove upgrades and chimney repairs need to be included in these. Again, these impact the most low income and vulnerable rural residents. In short, we are asking you to put 100% of the funding for this pillar of the MI Healthy Climate Plan towards repairing and weatherizing residences and small businesses. Thanks so much for your time.
Okay, thanks, Marjorie, for your comment. Okay, up next, Andrew Kosick and then Jonathan Gingrich. Go ahead.
Hello,
Andrew.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, I'm Andy Kosick. You got it right the second time. Midland, Michigan. I'm a home performance contractor, HERS rater. Been living in an old home that I've had the luck to electrify back in 2016. So I've been in the thick of this. And I just want to say that I think broadly, home decarbonization in Michigan can fall into three major buckets. Think of it as the holy trinity of home decarbonization, without which it's not going to happen. So broadly speaking, first, that graph at the beginning was great. It showed that the majority of our emissions are in natural gas and residential housing. And the fact is right now, it is just more expensive to heat with a heat pump than natural gas. Unless we get into some kind of heat pump rate like they're experimenting with in Massachusetts, so there's precedent there, I don't see any way we can scale this to where it needs to be. Second, contractors, HVAC contractors on the majority of Michigan are openly hostile to heat pumps, to be honest, and beyond that, honestly don't know how to size, commission, or install them correctly in most cases, especially in existing homes. Overcoming that is going to be critical. And third, every home needs to actually be creating a plan beyond the idea of an energy audit. If we're not actually planning in advance and short-circuiting what is a vast majority of emergency replacements of equipment, we're not going to be able to get electric appliances transitioned into houses. So at least equitable energy rates for electrification of houses, moving with HVAC contractors so they will work with heat pumps and learn how to size and install them correctly in existing homes, and creating plans for each individual household to execute. Nobody waits till their tires shut off on the highway to replace them. We shouldn't be waiting until our furnace dies to think about what we're going to put in next. And that is going to be critical to moving forward in this space. If those three things aren't accomplished in some way or another, and I have no idea if you guys have the ability to do that, we're going to I don't know your programming a lot. I just chimed in here, but if that stuff doesn't happen, I don't think we're going to be able to do this. We'll be tripping along for a long time. So those things are important to consider. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Andrew. Okay, up next is Jonathan Gingrich and then Victor Jimenez. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Hello, thank you for listening to me today. I appreciate the opportunity to address you. I am with the Van Buren Climate Action Team. We're a nonprofit group that's just gotten started in Van Buren County, and we're trying to improve the lives of our county residents through electrification and decarbonization. I've lived with a heat pump since 1993, and that one went on for 35 years, and then I just replaced it with another one. They've saved me both a ton of money. First one was open loop. Second one is now a closed loop system. Super efficient. It beats natural gas. Out where I live, it's way better than having oil pumped into my basement or a propane bomb in the backyard. I've been driving an EV since 2012. I just purchased a new EV. I saved $10,000 on different incentives from the car dealer. I've calculated that if I drive that car for 200,000 miles, I've saved enough money to pay for that car. I've got solar panels. I've had those in since 2015. My house is all electric. It absolutely works. It absolutely pays for itself. It's absolutely better than what we're doing. Any objections to solar, wind, heat pumps, etc., in comparison to oil derricks and oil spills and trying to find and import all this energy from all around the world, it's just insanity. If we're serious about reaching the healthy climate goals, EGLE needs to study the electrical grid, its supply, distribution, and demand sectors similar to an ecosystem. It has resources, competition, there's growth, birth, death of companies and organizations, there's predator, there's prey. Ideally, supply should be positioned close to demand for an efficient, lean, adaptive ecosystem. It should make the best use of the cheapest, healthiest, easiest to obtain resources, which the use of should create the least conflict within the ecosystem. And after you study what we have and produce a plan for what the ideal system is, we need to develop a pathway of getting there. Then, and this is the most important part, you need to figure out where the public utilities and their shareholders will attempt to game the system, sit them down, explain where we're headed, point out where they will be tempted, take advantage of the system, and then present them with a series of rewards for getting on board and a long list of sanctions for the system gamers. The utilities enjoy a government-sanctioned monopoly, and they work for us. Michigan imports 80% of its energy, and we will be losers in the new economy if we don't, in the very least, produce our own clean energy here at home. In Van Buren, we're about to open a dinosaur of a nuclear power plant for a few measly local jobs, yet nuclear is the most expensive method of making electricity. When Palisades reopens, okay, well, there we go. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. And, you know, for anybody, if you feel like you have additional comments you'd like to make or couldn't fit them all in here, please email them to us. You know, we should put the email box in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you. All right, Victor Jimenez is up next. Then after that, it's Brian Hamilton. So, Victor.
Thank you to the state of Michigan and EGLE for hosting these sessions and prioritizing repairing and decarbonizing homes and businesses. Decarbonizing our buildings is essential, not only to meet Michigan's healthy climate plan goals, but to improve the safety, comfort, and affordability of where we live, work, and play. Michigan's aging housing stock offers a unique opportunity to show how government at all levels can work together to repair and modernize homes, reduce energy costs, and ensure healthier living spaces for everyone. As we roll out programs like the state home energy rebates, we must prioritize whole home retrofits for low and middle-income families, addressing weatherization, efficiency, electrification, and home health all in one place. Collaboration between state agencies and utilities is crucial to simplify access to these programs and track their impact, especially on public health and air quality. We need robust outreach to help communities understand the immediate benefits of moving away from fossil fuels, like lower bills, cleaner air, and safer homes. This isn't just a challenge. It is an opportunity to make Michigan a leader in sustainable, people-centered climate action. Let's make it happen. Thank you for your time and have a good evening.
Thanks, Victor. Okay, Brian Hamilton's up next. Then after Brian is Lauren Rieg. So go ahead, Brian.
Hello, thank you. My name is Brian Hamilton, and I'm a father and a renter. And I'm calling today to emphasize the importance of prioritizing environmental protection, ecosystem preservation, animal welfare in our transition to renewable energy and infrastructure. As we move forward with building electrification and decarbonization, it's crucial that we do so in a way that minimizes harm to the environment and promotes sustainability. This means carefully considering the impacts our actions on local ecosystems, wildlife habitats, and biodiversity. And we must ensure that our renewable energy infrastructure, such as solar panels, wind turbines, is designed to be deployed in a way that avoids harming animals and their habitats. And this might involve conducting thorough environmental impact assessments, engaging with local communities and conservation groups, and incorporating wildlife-friendly design principles into our infrastructure projects. Also, I would like to reiterate a lot of what other people have brought up in their discussion, such as old homes and renters and how this impacts them specifically. And also not looking at each part of the plan for the My Healthy Climate Plan in a silo, because each part of the plan does impact each other. So when a different part of the plan goes against conserving nature or environmental protections, it really hinders the rest of the plan. Furthermore, I think that we should prioritize the use of environmentally friendly materials and practices into our buildings construction and renovation projects. This can include using sustainable building materials, reducing waste and pollution, and promoting energy efficient designs. I know there's a lot of places that incorporate small wind turbines into their highways to generate wind power. We just did a lot of construction in the Lansing area and added a whole bunch of freeway, and we could have easily incorporated that into the design, but that was a failed opportunity. But by taking a thoughtful and sustainable approach to our transition to renewable energy and infrastructure, we can create a healthier and more resilient environment for all Michiganders, humans, animals, and especially our children and our future. Thank you again for all the work that you do and taking the time to listen to the community.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, Lauren Rieg is up next, and then after that is Nicole Card. Go ahead, Lauren.
Hi, Jim, and hello, EGLE staff. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. My name is Lauren Rieg, and I lead our building decarbonization work in the Midwest for RMI. And I really appreciate the time you set out for us today. First, I'd like to agree with many of the comments that have been made tonight. My fellow commenters have made some really fabulous points. I'd like to start by elevating a pitch for a one-stop shop for whole home retrofits. Designing a program that helps residents understand the upgrades their homes need, accessing funding for building electrification, energy efficiency, health and safety repairs to homes, and affordable renewable energy is going to be critical. Helping households contact qualified contractors and actually filling out the applications will make the funding available within the state accessible, and the education that is needed to help people access these funds will be critical and can be developed through a one-stop shop whole home retrofit program. For example, I know a couple examples have been given tonight. I'll provide another one. Michigan's neighbor in Illinois is using climate pollution reduction fund grant funds to actually develop this right now. And so that could be a partnering state. Another piece I'd like to bring up today is the affordability around building decarbonization and electrification. This is something that is going to be critical, and Michigan should not shy away from it. There's a couple of areas in which I'll highlight today. One is delivered fuel customers. For the most part, delivered fuel customers, switching them over to efficient electric heat pumps is cost effective immediately. They can save up to or around $1,000 per year annually in electric and in utility bills, and reduce lifetime carbon emissions of the appliance by about 45%. So this is really critical customer group that is already affordable to switch to electrification. And then also looking at electric heating rates. A lot of my fellow commenters have addressed this too. We need to find a way to make natural gas and drive affordability in the natural gas to electric heat pump space. In order to make electric heat pumps competitive, we really need to be addressing electric heating rates and developing them. And the next piece I'll share is around planning for the future. I really encourage the Michigan Public Service Commission to identify opportunities for decarbonizing heating through a future of gas heating docket. And then the final piece I'll share, I've mostly talked about retrofits thus far, but new construction is also a critical space in Michigan. We need to stop making the climate problem worse by continuing to build housing and buildings that are not aligned. So I would encourage us to make strong building codes. Thank you for your time.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Lauren. Okay, I have got 3 more hands up, just to let you know. And so if you would like to make a comment tonight, haven't made a comment yet, if you'd like to, you can go ahead and get your hand up. Okay, so we've got Nicole Card up next, and then Eric Anderson after that. Go ahead, Nicole.
Hi, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. My name is Nicole. I live in Macomb County. I do work for the Oakland County Office of Sustainability. I bring it up because it's relevant to my comment, but I am speaking as an individual, not in any way as a representative of the county. But in my work, I work with individuals on residential energy efficiency. And just having worked on this as a program, I've noticed a lot of things that I thought could be helpful to EGLE as you roll out your programs. The one that I want to spend the most time on is just the fact that a lot of the low-income communities that these programs are intended for are often stretched very, very thin. And that's not only in funding, it's also in just time and capacity that they have to dedicate towards these things. So I know we all know that the way that a lot of social programs work is paternalistic and requires a lot of reporting and things like that is places a really large burden on people who want to benefit from these programs. But I also want to point out that many people who could benefit from these programs aren't HVAC experts, they aren't home energy experts, and they might not even have the time or digital access if they're seniors to make themselves educated on this. So I think a really important thing to include is education, guidance, and workshops, as well as like really high touch energy coaches for people that you want to be able to participate in this program. And I know that sounds super intensive on the staff side because we run into that problem as well. So I think one idea that could help with this is maybe trying to replicate the Solarize program, but for things like community bulk buying of insulation. I think contractors would enjoy this because they would have locked in like a whole neighborhood of customers, and the community would be able to share information and learn together while also getting a bulk discount for the work that needs to be done. I also wanted to uplift what some other folks said about a whole home repair funding program. There's a lot of different home repair programs in the state, but there's also a lot of gaps in between them. And so if the state were to provide gap funding so that you could connect weatherization to another program and get everything that you need done, that would be great, especially considering that some people are, just $1 or $2 short of qualifying for a program, but they absolutely can't afford these upgrades on their own. And the last thing I wanted to say as quickly as I can is just about committed emissions and the fact that, right now people are buying natural gas because it is cheaper and because it is what they know or are familiar with or what their contractor knows. But we know as soon as we buy that, that's locked in for maybe 15 years. So the more we can do to get DTE to lower their rates and just make electrification affordable and awareness for it now, that's going to help for years and years to come. I will email the rest. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Nicole. All right, coming up next is Eric Anderson, and after Eric is going to be Jason Chapman. So, go ahead, Eric.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Eric Anderson. I'm a resident of DeWitt Township, located just north of the capital. I'm with a local consulting firm. I'd like to begin with stating that the Michigan Climate Plan has lofty ambitions, but with little means. These policies outlined in the MHCP exemplify a pervasive partnership between environmental activism and crony capitalism. These policies contained within the MHCP are not about protecting Michigan's environment, but rather about protecting the government's power to enforce our compliance to climate policy. I would remind EGLE that it does not have the authority to impose new taxpayer and utility payer-funded energy subsidies. Economic growth is fueled by a combination of abundant capital, cohesive community, cheap energy, and dependable labor. Electrification of Michigan's economy can only be achieved with broad spectrum energy generation profile, and this includes nuclear power. Michigan has many old structures, and more building science education is needed to lower energy costs and increase Michigan's prosperity. I thank EGLE for hosting this event and all the public comments and feedback. I yield my time. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Okay, Jason Chapman's up next, and then so our final person with the hand up is Janice Hazel. So Jason, you can go ahead.
Thank you. We are definitely in the fourth industrial revolution, and things are changing very quickly. We're getting smarter. We're creating sustainable systems, and our workforce and education providers are definitely adjusting to what is needed to make a smart workforce to create a green economy. Decarbonization definitely is a mission critical aspect of what we are facing as humanity. We are facing a fifth mass extinction event and changes across the human condition, unlike that we have seen in the last 300 years. It's moving 10 times faster as we probably could think it is moving. And our kids and our manufacturing workers are definitely working toward evolving.
Hey, Jason, I think we might have just lost you. Did you?
Sorry, there was a glitch in the interweb there.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Anyways, so working with overseas, been kind of working with building carbon credits and looking at those initiatives to really initiate and involve more workforce individuals to participate in this initiative. The fourth industrial revolution really demands a workforce skilled in integrating all these technologies to really make a change. It's darn near 60 degrees in December. All right. So obviously we need a global green economy. The future is very bright. There's 77 mega trends in the fourth industrial revolution that will change our economy rapidly. It will change everything in our human experience, so from mobility to technology, the way we eat and the way we are educated. So I encourage everybody to, really dive down and drill down into this fourth industrial revolution and start talking with leadership and working with workforce development individuals so that we can start building these systems. And the future is bright.
All right. Thanks, Jason. Okay, let's look. The last person we have with their hand up is Janice Hazel. So Janice, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. This has been a really good session. I appreciate you doing this. And I'm going to echo what a number of other people stated, perhaps with a bit of a twist. I am speaking in my personal capacity as a resident of Michigan, although I am doing a fellowship with the MHC or the My Healthy Climate Corps at EGLE, but I'm speaking as a resident. I am retired and I have, time on my hands and have been serving as my own general contractor to weatherize my home, to do renovations, to rehab it for myself now that I have a disability. This is my family home. So it's been in my family for 51 years and it is 72 years old. I live in Detroit. And something that I think would be helpful, this is something that I have run into, is for the state, and I don't know if it would be EGLE or LARA or whatever agency, if it doesn't currently exist, and I've been trying to find it, so I don't think it exists, it would be helpful to provide technical assistance to homeowners to find reputable, vetted, meaning licensed, qualified contractors to do a lot of the work. I have insulated my house, had insulation blown in. I have insulated the attics, that's plural, 3 that are on my house. I have replaced a lot of appliances destroyed during several of the floods in the Detroit area over the last 10 years. Washer, dryer, hot water heater, just a number of appliances, my furnace. And it's always difficult finding reputable contractors. You ask friends, neighbors, but I think it would be helpful if EGLE or LARA or whatever agency were to provide some sort of an online portal that lists the companies, the contractors that have been used in the past, meaning they were vetted, not necessarily a recommendation or referral, because with that, there are liabilities, but at least give a starting point for homeowners to know, okay, this company apparently did work that was paid for through MHCP grants or Wayne Metro grants or whatever entity using these federal and state funds. That would be very helpful. It's something like what I've had to do with caregiving. When my parents were sick, I had to find caregivers. And as a 30-something-year-old person several years ago, I hadn't even heard the word caregiver. I didn't even know what that was, let alone where to turn. And to talk to hospitals when they were discharged, they were able to give me lists of caregivers that, basically had been assisting discharged patients. And so something like that, and they said, this is not a referral, it's not a recommendation, it's just a list of people that our patients have told us have assisted them. So
Hey,
on
Janice,
that order.
it's been 3 minutes, so if you don't mind wrapping it up. Thanks.
Okay, well, I will wrap it up with that, but that would be very helpful. I find it difficult to find reputable, credible, licensed contractors to do the repair and decarbonize homes and businesses, at least in the Detroit area. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Janice, for your comments. And yeah, I just want to remind everyone, if you have additional comments you want to make, feel free to use the email box. We'll be checking that regularly. Okay, that is all the hands that we had raised up here tonight. And I do want to thank you all for being so courteous and keeping to the time and for the great comments you gave us. We did have, like I said earlier, about 95 people on, and we had several people commenting. So I appreciate you all and your comments. I am now going to turn it over to Julia, who's going to take us home. So go ahead, Julia.
All right, thanks, Jim, and thank you all for attending tonight and participating. You can go to the next slide, please. Just as a reminder, you see where we are today for the virtual listening session. Next, we have one on driving clean innovation in industry on January 16th, and then we'll conclude with protecting Michigan's land and water on January 22nd. Next slide. All right, so this is more information on where you can go to find out more information about the My Healthy Climate Plan. We have a website, we have a listserv, we also have open Council on Climate Solution meetings, which you can find out about online. And again, just want to emphasize that you can email eagle-oce@michigan.gov for other comments or questions. And thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it.